So I'm talking about that the Active Directory services. Okay. So Active Directory services, the thing it is, what is Active Directory? We need to understand first thing. What are all the objects are available or how we create our objects? We should understand that thing. Why we use Active Directory? It is what the purpose of that thing, Active Directory, and where this Active Directory is supposed to be used in this current environment, or you can say where exactly on those entity side, where exactly it is supposed to be used. So we can understand these four aspects with the help of this slides. So what is Active Directory? Active Directory has an information about all the objects. It's containing all the objects. Means objects means users, computers, and resources like printer, share, file folder in the organization network. If I'm talking about organizational network, so it means that whenever, whatever the locations, the area which is covered by your organization, okay, so it will completely define as a network. They are interconnected with each other. If a user interact with the organization, so he is supposed to use a device. So that device is also an object. He is supposed to use the printer. So that printer is supposed to be the object. So he is using the shared file folder. So that is also comes in the object. So the Active Directory contains all this information inside it. So that's why we call it having that all the informations of all the objects. Like objects means either the user, computer, printer, folder, and everything which is supposed to be used in entire your organization network. Okay. And it is similar to the telephone directory. As I told you earlier also, telephone directory if you seen in your past or in the current situation also, like there is a telephone directory which contains the person number, person name, person and person like details about address details and all the things. So we can easily figure it out where this person is exact location, where is it located, what's his contact number, what's his name also. So that is the similar kind of thing we can supposed to work in this Active Directory side. If we having some knowledge about some user, so we can easily identify which locations this user is belong to, which project this person belong to, and also we can also define that thing, that person is coming from this domain side. What are all the projects is assigned by this person? Okay, so that is the similar kind of telephone directory. It is a software to arrange, store information, and provide access and permission based on the information. It is also, I told you, it is a database kind of activity. It is supposed to be worked by this Active Directory. So you can say that thing. It is an arrangement of the software or store the information about whom, to provide them access, permission, and whatever the information they are supposed to require. So if you see in the left-hand side picture, there are lots of objects. They are directly connected with this kind of network. If the users
Hi,
are
Karan.
supposed to, yeah, now is it visible? Now it is visible.
Yes, it's visible.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
So
Yeah.
I am in the fourth slide. Okay. So I'm talking about it is quite similar to that the telephone directory. Okay, and it gives the information about the software how it is supposed to be arranged. If you in the left hand side, there are lots of objects like computer, printer, user, and files and folders, and they are directly connected with an arrangement of these all the objects which are in isolated form. The arrangement you can see in the network. There are supposed to be the computer which having the shared folder, and the printer having the connected with the computers, and the computers are connected with the user. So these all are interconnected with each other in the organization. So through that way we can understand this thing, and Active Directory is supposed to be interconnect between all these activities. So I mean to say that thing, it is quite similar to store the information, to provide the access and permission to the users, and they can work with each other in a network. Okay. So one more thing, it is over
Yes, I
there.
have a
It is, you can
question.
say it is.
I have a question, please, about the previous
Yeah,
slide. So when you say that it's
yeah.
similar to a telephone directory, if I'm linking that, that
Hmm.
means in our telephone we have different numbers of different people with their names, and
Hmm.
so this is
Hmm.
going to be something whereby we also store, because we are looking more into having access to things, right? So this is software that we use to arrange people based on their level, the authorization and the authentication, right?
Hmm.
Is this the same thing? I'm just trying to
Hmm.
put, okay.
Yes, yes,
So
yes.
some
You
of them will
are.
have access, some will not have access,
Yes,
some have permission. So it's just a list of all the
yes,
people that will have
yes,
access
yes,
to everything. And we will use this Active Directory to be able to know the information about those people.
yes. You should be aware, and you should get the information about that all those peoples. Not only the people, any of that objects. If I'm talking about objects, it means that it completes devices also be there, and rest of file folders it is supposed to be there, and even the user's information is supposed to be there.
Okay.
Those guys who are having the permissions and authority to do that activity. Right now, I am giving you the information, and I am assuming that you are an administrator side. Okay, so right now you are the Active Directory administrator and the Okta administrator, and you should think about like that. If you are the administrator, so how you create your environment, how you design your environment in such a way so every information you should know about that thing, and each and every object has to be interconnected with each other in a network side. So if you think about that part, so you can easily understand this thing, then Active Directory will gives us a complete picture about that, how the
Okay.
arrangement and information storing has to be done. Okay.
Thank you. Okay.
So in the next slide, you can see that it is also the arrangement of network users, computers, and objects in a logical hierarchical grouping. So why it is calling as a network user? Like if I am working in one domain, okay, like I am the part of an organization, I am the part of Accenture, okay, and you are also the part of Accenture organization. But you are working in some different domain and I am working in some different domain. And your location is supposed to be different and my location is supposed to be different. But we both are working under a complete under one domain. Okay, like one domain means we are working on a similar kind of project, but our functionality are different. So that's why I'm saying that thing, how we can interchange our coding parameters, how can we can exchange our documents, how we can exchange our information to each other. So we should become up in a network side. So all the information, all of the user around the world, if they are connected under a one domain, so they can easily understand and easily share the information if they having the permission in that side. So that's why it is also called it a logical hierarchical grouping side. Like through logical hierarchical means in the information which is supposed to be surpasses to their child, which is coming from their parent side. Okay, I'll show you also how the this thing is supposed to be created. So an Active Directory is also the information which is used for authenticate and authorize the user. Correct? Like why this is supposed to be authenticate and authorized? Like if I am a user, like I have a Gmail account, okay, and Gmail stored their user information somewhere in the cloud. Okay, so like if I'm entering my credentials, so this my credential are supposed to be authenticated by the Google Active Directory side, like Google Cloud side. If they understand that thing, that user means the current having that type of credentials, so I can let him in inside that the Google platform either not. So he is also checking. So that's why Active Directory is also going to do this activity, whether he's supposed to authenticate and authorize the user, which are supposed to be the computer resources and any part of the network. So to give the information about that right candidate side. So like over in the picture, a user is authenticating to this CPU side, to the device side on the network side. If he successfully authenticated, then he's supposed to do some activity and share the information to the entire network. Now we are supposed to check out what type of objects are we doing. So objects are basically physical entity on the network side. Physical entity means Like if we are having like any of the things, like if we
Correct.
are, yeah,
So, sorry to interrupt in between. Actually, I would like to know since like authentication and authorization does to take place in the Active Directory itself, right? So, what will be the role of Okta in here?
no, okay, I'll tell you. Like if you are creating any user over here, no, first thing it is to be there. I am not supposed to tell you over Okta over there. Okay, Okta is something different platform. Okay, we are supposed to be telling you, I am telling you about only that Active Directory side right now. I will tell you in a later session how the Okta is interconnected with this Active Directory. Okay, right now we are checking only the one technology which is supposed to be Active Directory side. Okay, like
Okay. So
if your
once like we
information.
are integrating this Active Directory with Okta, so at that time will the
Hmm,
authentication and authorization will be taking place by Okta only, or will Active Directory will be the part of that thing? Like how it will be like, is it from the Active Directory side or the Okta side?
like Okta is on that time, whether the Active Directory is connected with the Okta, on that time we are using the Okta. We are using the Okta platform to authenticate our users. We are using the Okta platform to authenticate the user. Okay. On that time, Okta is not supposed to authenticating the user. Only Active Directory is supposed to authenticate the user. But when we are integrating any other application with the Okta, on that time, Okta is going to authenticate the user for that application. Okay. So Okta is behaving bi-directional. Okta is behaving like an identity provider or even the service provider also. Okay, on that time.
Okay.
So if I am saying like I'll show you, your question is valid, and I will show you one thing with the help of such diagram. Okay, so if I'm talking about this thing, this is an Active Directory or this is my user. Okay, so he is supposed to be get inside this Active Directory to make his authentication for this particularly user. So on that time, this Active Directory is supposed to be his identity access management side. Okay, but in the same case, whether we are supposed to choose Okta and over here is the Active Directory. If the user is entering inside the Okta, his ID is supposed to be authenticating from that the Active Directory. Okay, this is the second scenario. And now the third scenario. This is the Okta, this is our Active Directory, and this is the other application. This is might be the other application. Okay. On that time, what happens if user authenticating in the particularly application, this application. So application redirected to the Okta and Okta redirected to the Active Directory for his authentication. And after that thing, what happened? Active Directory give the permission to the Okta. This is the right user. I have this user information. On that time, Okta authenticate the user for this particularly application. So on that time, Okta becoming the service provider over here. Sorry, so not the service provider, identity provider over here.
Identity provider.
Because he is providing the information to the application, so he is becoming the identity provider. But right now it is behaving like a service provider. In that, if we are talking about Okta and Active Directory only. I'll show you how the things are going on. You can easily understand in the later picture once we created all the things practically in our lab site. So that is not
Okay.
a big
But
challenge for this.
overall, if we see, so authentication does take place from Active Directory only, right?
Yes, yes. You should be understand that every authentication has to be taken care from the Active Directory side because user information has to be stored over there, and that is the only delegated authentication area.
Okay. And for the authorization, like is it Active Directory only or Okta?
Authorization has to be given up to the particularly application side. So if his person is authenticated, then he is authorized to work in Okta premises or rest of the application also.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. So over here we are in the object side. So what are all the objects of the Active Directory? These are the objects. We call it forest, domain, organizational units, users, contact, computer, share folder, printer, site, subnet. These all are the objects of the Active Directory. So, but if I am talking about objects, it means that they are interconnected with each other to making the Active Directory complete. Okay. Once we are doing the practical, you can easily understand. For now, you just understand the terminologies, why we call it the forest, why we call it the domain, why we call it the organization unit and the user and rest of the things. So now objects are the examples like attributes. Like if a user having the name, location, department, so it means that user John is having rest of information. So that is becoming some of the attributes of the particular user. So these are the user attributes, name, location, department. So these are the user attributes. If we are clubbing our user, computer, printer in one, you can say the one architecture or one network, we call it as a container object. If we are individually taking up, like we are individually taking user, if we are individually taking printer, we are individually taking the computer or printer, so we call it as a leaf object. Leaf means the individual identity objects. If we are clubbing them, we call it as a container object. So these are some of the terminologies you should little bit understand, because you are not supposed to be becoming the Active Directory administrator. You are supposed to be becoming the Okta directory. Okay, but we should understand that thing, so it is easy to understand on the later on the Okta side also for you. Okay, so in the object side, these are some security principal objects, which is having GOID and SID also. Okay, whether we are creating any type of user, so some of the authentication and assignment permission are given to the particularly user. So we call it as in the term of GUID, which is 128-bit globally unique identifier, and SID is security identifier for the particularly user. Now we call it as a forest. Why we call it as a forest? Forest is like a complete, in the, if I am talking about in a real world scenario, so in real world, what we you mean by the forest? A forest is like a, which is containing all their types of animals, all types of trees, all types of plants, all types of rivers, whatever the things forest is having. So we call it as a complete jungle or complete scenario in the real world scenario. So right now in the forest, why we call it a term in Active Directory forest? Because it is the highest level of security boundary. Okay, highest level of security boundary means all the all the livings, non-livings, and whatever the things are be there in the forest, they are situated under one umbrella. So that we call it a complete forest. Okay. So similarly in this Active Directory, whatever our all the users which are located in around the globe, around the world also, so they are completely comes under one tree or one forest. So forest becoming that the highest level of security boundary. So all the network, all the user, all the information are with there, and they are interconnect and exchanging the information between all of them. Okay, like if we are talking about like in the real scenario in the forest side, some of the carnivorous animals are be there, some are omnivorous animals are be there, some high small plants are be there, some high trees are be there. Okay, but if we are containing all of them, so that becoming a complete forest, and the information and the exchanging of their, for their appetite, for their living purpose, for all the things, for all the animals, they are interconnected and making a biological network over there. So similar kind over here, the Active Directory forest is also be there. They are interchange and they are exchanging their information inside their each forest. Like if you see in the picture, we have two hands, left hand side and the right hand side. Here is becoming a one domain, and left hand side also becoming a domain. And domain is connected with other domain, and the right hand side also one domain is connected to the other domain. If we are containing, if we are domains are interconnected with each other domains, so then we call it as a domain tree. Okay, under the forest there is a domain tree or a domain. So that is some type of hierarchy or the schema of the design has to be come up in the information exchanging. So that's why we call it as a forest. Okay, and the domain size, it is supposed to be, if we are seeing in this picture, a forest having the domains, and what domains is having? Domains having all the other objects which are supposed to be inside that thing. Like if I am working for a project, so that means my project domain, and then my name is comes to there. Okay, my identity comes to there. So which domain I am belonging, XYZ, it's my domain, and then my name is comes to over there. So similarly, whatever the information, whatever the devices is allocated to me, that all are comes under that XYZ domain. So that type of things we need to create in a hierarchical manner. So the information and exchanging of the information come over it. Then the domain tree. Why we call it a domain tree? Because tree connected with, oh sorry, domain is connected with other domain, and that domain connected with the child domain. So the exchanging of information is work like a parent-child relationship. A bigger level of the domain, parent domain, gives the information to the child domain, and that child domain 1 giving the information to the child domain 2. Then interchanging to A, B, C is comes to that way. And that is a one-way trust has to be make out in the domain level things. Like if domain 1 user wanted to access domain 3 project, so he's supposed to be work, or he's supposed to be access that functionality also, because each and every domain treating and behaving like a trust between them. So on that way they can easily understand what they required, what the information they required. And like a similar way, if you are working in a US or something in a US city or US location, and you wanted to fax it out from to different location of your domain side of the same company, so you can easily connect with that thing, because you are connected into the one network, you are connected into the one domain. So the information of exchanging has to be quite easy for you. Once we are creating, you can easily understand that thing also. Now this is the very interesting part. OU means organizational unit. How the organization unit are supposed to be defined. Like if you are working in an organization, so organization having majorly 4 pillars. One is your admin section, second is your HR system, third is your finance system, fourth is your marketing system. Okay, so similarly, one OU having 4 verticals, then each vertical having their multiple verticals. Okay, so that is, we call it as an organization unit. How the organization is supposed to be organized in a way, so the information of the exchanging of the information comes in a later on to the parent to the child side. Okay, so this is the organization unit. I'm talking about basically that the organization units, how it is to be defined in the way, like in your organization having what major verticals are be there, like your partners are be there, resellers are be there, HR and the finance teams it is supposed to be there. Then they again having some other entities inside that thing. In the picture you see that if the resellers are be there, so either they are customer or the users, or even in the finance teams either they the users or the objects are be located. So organization unit is basically in a hierarchical manner of the arrangement of the information which are interconnected with each other. So I'm talking about basically why and where exactly these Active Directory is supposed to be used. Okay, so this is supposed to be that the highly secure area, because it's having the multiple layer of security it is to be there. Policies and permission are supposed to be there, and there is locate anywhere from the physical side, so you can interconnect your resources with the help of domains and the network. Millions of users are added in the single domain. You can add them multiple or the millions of user inside one thing. It is easily accessible, highly flexible, and readable site. And it is easy, efficient, and search mechanism. It is supposed to be there to locate the user inside it. It is a centralized storage area, any of type of the backup and restoration has to be happen over here. It is efficient, effective management supposed to be there, and it serves like an exchange site or the SharePoint site. It gives you the way of single sign-on and pre and post scripting, whether at the time of logon or the scripts. Any individual profile you can maintain inside that thing, and some mandatory profiles are supposed to be used inside that thing. Even in the Active Directory side, your auditing purpose has to be successfully trace it out. It is a centralized information, so easy to maintain your operations also. So Active Directory basically applied or implemented in government offices, schools, research organizations, hospital, non-government organization, and the corporate. And this is one-stop solution for everything. Like it is a secure, easy, efficient, effective, and flexible also. So that's why we use the Active Directory in a high efficient manner. Okay. So guys, I just wanted one of your person screen who is supposed to be share, so I can easily tell you how we creating all these things stuff which you seen in the PPT. You can easily create in your side also. Any of you can share your screen. Okay, no
Okay.
problem.
Where should I go?
Go to the same area, Active Directory user and computers. Move slowly. You can use your mouse, you can move it very slowly.
Okay.
So over here there's shivacloud.com. It is supposed to be your forest. I'm telling to you. So in the forest, they whatever you are seeing over here, bulletin, computer, domain controller, foreign security principal, managed services account, and the users, they all are come up under your forest site. So they are becoming like bullet computer. They all are right now becoming your the objects on your forest site. Okay. So computer is one of the objects, users is one of the objects, bulletin is one of the objects. Okay. So these by default objects are come up in the picture. But under the forest, we are supposed to create our own domain controller. First thing, like domain tree, or you can say the domain controller, or you can say the domain we are supposed to create. Just right click over there in the sivacloud.com.
This one.
Not here, not here, that side. Now go to the new button so it can
Okay.
easily work. Now in the new you can go there and use OU. There is an organization unit
Okay.
supposed to be there. Now click over there. Yes, click over here.
I have clicked. God, I have so. This is so annoying. Okay.
Okay, now you have created the OU. Now name it your organization name, sivacloud.com.
That's not. Um. Okay.
Okay, now click on OK button. So what you see over here, there is one more sivacloud.com has been created. Okay, so what exactly that means? So the previous one sivacloud.com is our forest. Now we created our domain under our forest, sivacloud.com. Now what under it has to become in the domain, we can create our all of the OUs are be there. So the shivacloud.com, you can seems like, or you can assume that thing, this is your organization, shivacloud.com. Every user, every devices, every resource has to be the part of this organization, shivacloud.com. Okay. So now you, whatever the verticals of your organization are there, you can create all those verticals inside your shivacloud.com domain or the domain name. Okay. So now right click again over it.
Is it the one or the first one?
Yes, this is one. Now go to the new again and click on OU. OU means organization unit. Now in the shivacloud.com, what all the pillars you wanted in your organization? You wanted the finance department also be there. Now create one finance department. Just write it down finance. Okay. That is also fine. Or this is also fine. Yeah. Click on OK. So this is the one department has been created. Now again go back there shivacloud.com and create HR department, marketing department and IT department in a similar way. And Muskan and you can also create your own on your machine these kind of activities. So you can easily check if you are having such issues. So you can tell me, I can guide you how you are creating your organization over here.
So I still need help with mine, but let her finish hers, then you can help me get to where
Yes,
she
yes,
is from.
yes. Yeah,
Thank
of
you.
course. IT department. One is left, HR department. Okay. Now in your organization, shivacloud.com, you created your 4 departments. Okay. So under the 4 department, what you required? You required some users are supposed to be there. Okay. So now do one thing. I'll tell you one how to create it. Then rest of users you are supposed to create by yourself. Okay. Now go back to the new again. We want that one user supposed to be created.
So am I
Create.
creating you?
Go
Am
to
I? So am I going to create? Can I create a user under finance department?
yes. Now you are supposed to be
Okay.
create one user. Okay. So where exactly you can click on the user, give the name of that user.
Can you tell us again what was the step I lost in between for this user? How to create user?
You can go to the department and right click over there and go to the new, and under the new, previously you are choosing organization unit, now you are choosing users. In the Salvia O, there are not supposed to be a gap inside between them.
Oh, okay. So I should just. Oh, I put a period. Should I just say Sylvia
No,
and then what?
no, no. It's complete one name, Sylvia O, or either O Sylvia. Not in the full
Okay.
name, not in the full name.
In the logon name,
In the
right? It has to be Sylvia.
yeah,
Oh,
in the
okay.
logo, yes, yes, in the logo name, yes.
Okay.
So you see over there Sylvia O at the rate Sylvia SivaCloud.com. So your domain name is supposed to be coming over there, correct? So that is
Yep.
becoming yeah, that is becoming the user email ID under your domain. Now
Okay.
click on the next button. Now, first thing I just tell you, there is a check box over there. So uncheck the first one, check the second one and the third one only. And you can create the password for this user also. And I will tell you that thing, whether you are creating a password, you can create your password for all your users for the same. Okay, you can use the same password. You can create the same password for all your users. So you didn't forget what the password of this user. Okay,
Okay. So
because
so in a real life scenario, right, when you're creating this user, so
yeah.
for example, if this person is a new employee and we need to add that the new employee under finance department, am I supposed
Hmm.
to save this password and give it to the user in an email, or what? How does it?
Hmm.
What is the connection? I mean, how does the person or the user I'm creating have access to this password that I'm creating? Is this password for me or for the user?
No, first time, like right now, you are the administrator. Okay, you are creating a temporary password for this user. Correct. Once the
Uh-huh.
user log in with a temporary password, so he have the right to change his password also. So
Okay.
then he changed his password. So that password is automatically updated in the Active Directory.
Okay. So in that case, that means I will not have to choose this user cannot change password.
So on that case, right now I am telling you, right now there is no user come up, okay, in this scenario. But if the real time scenario, if the users come up, so uncheck that. Okay.
Okay. So yeah, that's what I'm trying to yeah, so then I click on next, finish.
Yes. Now you know how to create the user. The rest of the users you are supposed to be create under each and every department. 4 users under each and every department. Okay.
Okay.
Now
So
I
do
am
you want
giving. Now you can create by own and make Anne as a presenter. This is one of the tasks for you. Okay, Salvia, for today's session.
so I just have to
Tomorrow,
create four I just have to create four users
4, yes,
to under
each and
each
every each,
department.
yeah,
Okay.
department. But for my recommendation to you, you can choose the same password for all the users. Okay,
Okay.
because why it is going to be required? Because we are supposed to authenticating this user in the Okta. So on that time, this password is supposed to be workable on the time. Yes, and where are you? Yes, yes,
Now,
yes. Go ahead. Go to the tools.
this one.
In the menu, there is a
Sorry, I should go to
manage
where?
tools. Yeah, tools here.
Okay, tools. Okay.
Now click on user computer. You are not supposed to be created so far the Active Directory. Why?
Sorry, what did
You
you
need
say?
to. I said that you didn't create Active Directory so far. So first thing you need to create your Active Directory.
Okay, it's not created.
Yeah, you can check our yesterday session.
Okay.
Then you are supposed to do this thing. You can
Okay, I'll check it tomorrow.
you can click on add roles and features and do that activity. You just check
Okay.
it out that the yesterday session you can easily understand. So that
Okay.
is your task to create your Active Directory. Then
Okay.
you need to supposed to create the users and all. Now give it the presenting for the Muskan. Make
Okay.
the
So I'll check
presenter.
today's section,
Yeah.
create the Active
Okay.
Directory, then I'll check today's section for what
Yes.
Sylvia has done. Okay.
Yes.
So
Yes. Yes.
who am I making presenter now?
Sorry.
I've made you the presenter.
Yeah, Muskan. Anne
Okay.
and Sylvia, your task is to creating the user and you are supposed to check with yesterday's session and today's session to reach on the right area where we are supposed to be there in tomorrow's session. Okay. Yeah, you created finance, HR, marketing, and IT. That is fine. And inside that thing, you are supposed to create your users. Okay. You created finance in the Muskan, HR, Muskan 2, Muskan 3, Muskan 4. Muskan, you can do one thing. You can give some names which are supposed to be like a meaningful area. Okay. So it is quite easy for you to understand which user is belongs to which department. Okay. There are n number of names are with there in the. You can give any number of name to them. Okay.
Okay.
But you understand that thing how to create that user, and it is quite easy for you to do this activity. Just make 4 users. Okay, guys. So
Yes, we can. I mean, I can.
okay, that's it. So basically, the thing it is that what I'm saying in previous class about the SSO. SSO means single sign-on. It means that your one credential is supposed to be work for all of your applications, which is assigned to you or either in the project. So this is one of the protocol through which we can integrate or onboard lots of application with the help of such protocols in the Okta provides. Like as you know, Okta is right now behaving as an identity provider, and for Active Directory it is working as a service provider. Okay, if we have, if you wanted that the Okta is behaving like an identity provider, so somehow you need to integrate with some other service provider applications so that user can access other applications for their project basis. So how this supposed to be happen? It is supposed to be happen with the help of such kind of protocols. Protocols means method. Methods means SSO authentication scheme. So over here, SW. SW is one of them. We call it as a secure web authentication. So how it is this method or this protocol is supposed to work? SW is a Okta term and referred to the method developed by the Okta itself. So SWA secure web authentication, this authentication method it is designed by only with Okta. There is no such other industry or the tool to provide this such kind of protocol. So what exactly this secure web authentication do? It will work with the help of browser plugins. What it will do, whenever a user is trying to access a service provider application with the help of this protocol, so what it will do, it will securely pass the credential with the help of browser program in the form of web forms on the behalf of Okta user. Like if I am trying to access an application which is SWA based application, so if I am entering my credentials, so what will happen? That credential goes to the browser plugin. Browser plugin means whatever the browser you are having, Chrome, Internet Explorer, Firefox, Mozilla, whatever. So every browser having their own plugins, Okta plugins. So what it will do, it will bypass my credential. Means the browser takes my credential and similarly it will reflect back to the particularly identity provider or sorry service provider application. So SW is created by the Okta to provide single sign-on application that do not support proprietary features like single sign-on method or sign-on. It is not other than like federation type of single sign-on method or sign-on. It's a browser plugin required. Whenever you require this type of SWA type of authentication, you always require Okta browser plugins. How it is look like plugins? These are all the plugins. Every browser having their own plugins. So these plugins are supposed to work whenever the SWA methodology you are supposed to use it. So if you are not using the Okta plugins or you are not supposed to use SW authentication, so these plugins are not required on that. Some other things are supposed to be required. or other protocols. So like if we are supposed to end
Hey,
that, yeah,
hey, Karen, your voice is very faint and we can barely hear you. And even in the recording as well, it shows that your voice is going in and coming in. I don't know if it's your internet, so please, I would love, I would love if you can, hear you clearly.
okay,
Yeah,
now
thank you.
now it is coming fine,
It's a little bit better.
little bit better. Okay, now is it working fine now? Audible?
Yeah, it's going like, can you hear me? Oh,
Yes,
can you
I
hear
can hear
me?
you.
Oh,
Yes.
can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Okay,
You know,
okay.
that's how, yeah, that's kind of thing. Yeah.
Okay, okay, okay. Got your point. Just a minute. I join with my other system. Okay. Just wait for you. Just wait a minute. Okay, now it is working fine.
Yes.
Is I audible?
Yeah, it's a bit better now.
Okay, okay. Thanks. Okay, so I'll do one thing. I'll just read it out whatever I spoke earlier. So SWA is basically is a secure web authentications, and it will work only in that the browser plugin. So what exactly it will do? It will securely bypass your credential in the web forms on the behalf of the user authentication. So like the example it is, if I'm trying to access an application with the help of this SWA authentication method or a protocol. So whenever I was just trying to access that application with my help of Okta, so it will take my Okta credentials to the browser plugin and bypass those credentials to the particularly application. Okay, so it's not like to entering your uh, credentials in a service provider application. It will be directly goes to the browser plugin and it will reflect back to the application. So whenever you require that type of SW authentication, so you always used Okta browser plugins is necessary required. So these all are the browser plugins which are having Okta supported. So Firefox also having that thing and Chrome is also having that type of activity. So this is SWA is a secure web authentication. Basically the thing it is that we are authenticating the web form in a secure manner with the help of this SWA authentication method and maintain the SSO part. Okay, so this is the one of the protocol which I'm trying to tell you about that thing. We can do the practical things later on. Okay, firstly we will just cover up whatever the protocols we have it we required for the SSO part. Okay, now the second protocol is we call it as a SAML. It is a very important protocol which is widely used, is basically defined as security assertion markup language. So what exactly the security part over here, what are assertion markup language, why it is to be name it like that. So SAML is a XML based. It is XML based. Why it is XML based? Because whether we are exchanging any information in the internet or from one party to the another party, so there is a XML format. XML format it is used to transfer information from one identity provider to the another identity provider or the service provider. So XML based standard for exchanging authentication and the authorization.
which is data between identity provider and the service provider. Like there is an example in the third row, like Okta sending an XML format in the form of SAML, and that is goes to the service provider application. Service provider means who is giving us some services like Box application, Zoom application, Slack applications. So whatever the application we are supposed to choose from the service provider side, so we need to use SAML format, means security assertion markup language. So why it is required over here? It is used to create secure connection between service provider and the identity provider, and it is going to authenticate. So service provider is not going to authenticate the user basically in this format, rather than trusting the security authentication assertion from the identity provider. What it is means, like if I am in the Okta, I am a person and I am a user, and I already authenticating myself in the Okta. Now from the dashboard, I choose one of the application, Box application. A Box application is assigned to me for work purpose, or Zoom application. So once I click over there, so my credential is not going to be pass it on, okay, to the particularly service provider. Only that security authentication assertion which has already been done, or at the time of integration with both of the application or both of the entities like identity provider and the service provider. So the user is supposed to be authenticated from that end. Okay. So like one example is over here like this way. Once a user is trying to access Box application, so what is happen? So from the service provider side, we can generate a SAML. SAML means security assertion markup language. It will generate a SAML and it will redirect to the Okta. Okta is an identity provider. Okay. From the Okta side, what will happen? It will authenticate the user and create the SAML response on the behalf of that the user authentication. Once it is done, the SAML response has to be goes to the Box application, and the Box application verify the SAML and log in the user who is trying to access the Box application. So this is how the things are supposed to be work in that the SAML format. There are two entities are we there. One is service provider, one is identity provider, and the third entity is user who is trying to access that particularly application. So every time user trying to access a service provider application, its generation of the SAML has to be happened. And on the behalf of that thing, your identity provider will authenticate and also response on that the SAML side. On the behalf of that thing, user can access that part. So in a general term, I will tell you one example. Like I am going to access one application, okay, and I am trying my Okta credential over there. Okay, so I am already authenticated with the Okta, but service provider application doesn't know about that part. So how the things has to be happen at the time of initial time when our integration part has to happen. On that time, a SAML generation, like a SAML generation means a SAML having some alphabetical or a list of attributes in that the particularly XML based file. It needs to be interchanged with the help of metadata from identity provider to the service provider. With the help of this authenticity, user get access in a particularly application. Okay. Yeah, these are some of the terms which are quite new for you, but once you are doing any such kind of practical, so it is quite easy to understand all of the things. Okay. Now the third is WS Federation. WS Federation is only used for the Microsoft applications. So right now we have only one application Microsoft is Office 365. That WS Federation is work only in O365 application, which is a Microsoft based. Those applications which are not supposed to be used for Microsoft based application, so they are not supposed to use that type of protocol. Some other protocol are supposed to use, but not this protocol. This protocol is only mandate to the Microsoft application.
So are there organizations that don't do Microsoft applications?
Sorry. So like yeah, the organizations are supposed to use that the Microsoft applications, and
What
the
I'm
thing it
saying
is
is,
to
are there other organizations that don't use Microsoft application? Because I'm trying to understand if there are situations where, because from what you said, that can only be used in where there are Microsoft applications.
the Microsoft application basically like O365 application is only that application the
Okay.
Microsoft using. So in the O365 you are supposed to use like your Office, your PowerPoint, everything. Okay.
Right.
So which is provided by the which is provided by Microsoft, and these applications are supposed to be used for your daily basis. Okay.
Okay.
So at the time of Okta integration with these O365 application, that purpose is only that thing to fulfill that the administrator tasks. Okay, to integrate that part. So we can use only WS Federation only that time. Okay. So if you are having like in your dashboard like five applications are with there. So
Okay.
one of the application is O365. So how this integration is going to be happen? That integration has to be done with the help of this WS Federation, and rest of the application are supposed to be integrated with some other protocols like SAML, SWA, as I told you, and OAuth, OIDC. So there are some other protocols which are supposed to be workable for other applications apart from
Okay.
O365.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
you're
quick
welcome.
question. I think I missed something real quick. So all the
Uh,
tools that we just discussed now, the Samuel, what's that one? Um, then the
SWA.
yeah, so that the WS, I didn't get to know what's the full meaning. Is it web services or what is that?
So secure web authentication basically it's not a web services. Basically the thing it is to be that whenever we are trying to access the application which is supported, which is supposed to be supported for SWA only. So once it is supposed to be required, a browser plugin it is supposed to be there. It handles your credentials. Okay, it will store your credential over there in the browser plugins. So whenever you are trying to access that SW application, it will bypass your credential which are stored in the plugin and give it to that the particularly application to access the user. Okay, and SAML is completely different. It is work on metadata, XML, or some authentication part, authentication certificates. So over here, an assertion has to be generated and a response on the behalf of that thing produced by that the identity provider. Over here you can see the picture in your documents. And WS Federation, as I told you, only works for Microsoft applications. This is the import process. We already imported some users. Configure OIN application with SWA. So how the SWA is supposed to work, we can see in the practical and even like the SAML one also. Okay, so SAML one there are lots of applications are with there even for the SWA also. Let me check what I have it.
So in our security part, we are working on that the API part. What exactly those APIs are? Let me show you on the Okta tenant side. So in the API, we do have such kind of connectivity. We have to make sure the Okta is having such kind of thing and behaving like a server. So Okta is having like authorization server, which is supposed to be authorizing all of its token and granting the permission, whatever it is going to required by the client and the third party application. Okay. So the authorization server, it's a default one, which is our tenant name. Okay, so it will becoming that the issuer URI means whenever any such kind of client or third party application or requesting to get the information from that the server side. So Okta is supposed to creating such kind of server for those all those applications or connector which are supposed to working on the API part. So what exactly the authorization server? It will help us. It will help all of that user authenticity and providing them to get connect with that the Okta and whatever the information they are supposed to require after the authentication from that the resource server side, they can get it. Okay. So this will become the issuer URI. Okay. Or it will become our authorization server URI. Okay. Now the second thing it is token. So token, as I mentioned to you earlier, we have the access token and the refresh tokens. Okay, so the tokens are majorly that the part of the thing. If a user, if an application of a client is accessing such kind of information, so firstly he just get back to the authorization server. So due to some grant types and all the things, the client responds or the browser respond to the authorization server that I need such kind of information from your resource server end, or either the we required some authenticity to get approval from your end first, then we get an information from the rest of the things. So the authorization server on the behalf of the request of the client or any of the browser side or any of the application side, the authorization server will check the user's identity. Okay. On the basis of the user's identity, it will respond back in the form of token. Okay. So whatever the token it comes to us, like respond back to the client. So token it's having that all the information related to that person who is required to access such kind of folder or any kind of file or the private thing or the share file from the resource server. Okay, so token is that the API. Token is in the form of an API which is behaving like to give the approval for all the other activity which is supposed to be required. Okay, so now it is also a default token which is already been there, but we are supposed to create a new token and how it is supposed to be behaving and what exactly is going to be taken care. I will show you. Okay, now we are creating a token. Let me create inside this thing so it's better to understand in the virtual machine. So the token is not only that the token, the API token is basically means that the access token, to an accessing for an accessing for such kind of activity which is going to be provided for that the client or the application after authenticity part. Okay, so that thing we are need to check over here. Okay, so here we are. Now we are supposed to create a token. So firstly, we need to give a token name. What exactly the token name it is used for tracking our API. So let's take a token. It's a demo token, or we can make it as a test API. Once we are creating this token, so it's saying that token created successfully. Please make a note this token, it will be only time. It will be the only time that you will be able to view it. After this, it will not be stored as a hash for your protection. So the token value which is coming over here, it is comes once in a while. Once in a while means once it is created, it will disappear. You need to save it somewhere on your notepad, or either you can put it down some in place, because once it is to be there, if I click on OK, got it, it will not be coming back, and I am not able to retrieve back, because these tokens are basically that the user's information or whatever the things which is comes inside the token. Okay, not the user information, whatever the things comes inside the token, that is the one time use. Okay, one time means use means it is not going to be publicly shared or publicly available in the in your tenant side, in your organization side, or not even in the Okta side, because token is the only thing which is supposed to be accessible by such kind of intruders or the hackers. Once they get this type of token value, they will reach out to your private area or the authorization server or the resource server side. So they will track down your information, whatever the information is stored in your organization or having in it. Okay, so that's why this token having a private thing. So you need to capture it, because it's going to be very crucial part. It's not coming back every time you are going to create a token. It will give you a different value. It is not going to give you the same exact value. I'm going to store it over here. This is my test token API. This is a token value. Okay, now you can see that thing. My token is created now. Test API token. Okay, and it has been created by super admin. Okay, so super admin having the authority to create that token, not the other person having the authority. Okay, every token comes with the created or the expiry date. Okay, it has been created on 23rd today, and it's going to be expire in 22. It's having the validity of 1 month. After 1 month, its validity is over. So you need to upgrade the token or increase that the expiry date, or either you need to create a different token for your purpose. But what we have to supposed to do in an action part, you can see. Okay, so this is the all the attributes. It has been created by super admin, expiry date last Tuesday, and there is a token rate limit. Token rate limit means how much 50% of each API rate limit. Every time this token has to be cross check or checking or maintaining the value or the rate for the API part, it will go beyond that the 50%, or either you can increase the rate limit across the APIs. So across the API means whatever the API is supposed to be created or passing on with this help of this token, it is going with the rate limit of 50%. Either we can increase that thing. So whatever the APIs are be there, so it will cross check about all this token value and it will reflect back. So the API names,
Can you
yeah,
please tell me again this meaning of this?
okay.
So, what do you should be?
I'll show you. I'll show you. The token rate limit basically means that it. like whenever what we are supposed to do such kind of activity like user profile checking the user profile, the logs and the application checking, and you can say monitoring part or making the security, okay, and doing some MFA, login out, login in, okay, whatever the things we are going ahead or going to do in our tenant side or in our organization or working on the Okta side. So there are lots of APIs are supposed to be come across on this area. So this rate limit, token rate limit tells that at what percentage it is supposed to work beyond for that particularly APIs or the token. Okay, so we are supposed to giving them the 50%. 50% means like it is like the power. Okay, it is like a power which we are supposed to give that the API rate limit like 50% it will having the half of his limit he can check or it will work. Okay, if we make it increase that part, so like in our case not over here, like in organization there are lots of user are provisioning, okay, with the help of such kind of connectors or provisioning methods or other uh, application integration side, or even the user is created or provision in the Okta, his profile is created and other things are supposed to be done. Okay, so the in that case, what API
So,
will check?
like, if we conclude this also, it means like for a particular API, like how many times you can request, right?
Yes, for the API, yes. Many how many times you are supposed to be request that the particular API for a like right now we created a test, okay, but in an organization, every you can say every scenario or every test case there is supposed to be an API who is working in behind of this all the scenarios. Okay, so that is the thing where the 50% or you can make it 75 or 100%. So it will check on your organizational behavior how it is supposed to be done, how much time it will supposed to be reflecting or working on the particularly scenario or the test case.
So once, like for example, if we set this as 50%, so will it
Hmm.
work like in that way, like 50 requests per minute, or like how does it going to work?
Yes, it is supposed to the rate limit is supposed to be the 50% means basically on a particularly time frame in the milliseconds or the seconds time frame. Okay, it will you can say how it is, it will run, or you can say it will check or verifies all the things on those areas. So that is supposed to be like suggested by the Okta. It's 50%. Okay. So you can see in that the API names like verify, apps, user ID, authentication, SSO, SAML. So all of are 50%. These are the APIs. Okay, like API names are with there. Email verify. Whether the emails are supposed to be verified, it will it will verifying on the rate limit per minute for 50%. Okay, request per minute it will checking for the 50%. Okay, if we increase that thing 100%, so it will also making you can say like increasing the frequency. Okay, that is the right word. That increasing the frequency or the bandwidth on checking or verifying that kind of activity. So the log checking, SAML authentication checking, user ID, groups authorization. So these all the things it is to be taken care by the API part. Okay, so that it is supposed to be the frequency at what frequent rate the request is coming to the Okta per minute and what is supposed to be the API rate limit on it. Okay, or either on the edit side you can increase or decrease that the rate limit. So this is a little bit the administrative part, but we have to work on those other areas. Okay, so this is our default API, sorry, token, and this is our created one. So where exactly this token value is supposed to be work? I'll show you that area in and where exactly it will, how it is supposed to be behaving or working in that the Postman and on the Okta operational area. Okay, the right word is Okta operational areas where exactly is supposed to be work the API. Okay, so let me open that our Postman. So this is our Postman API platform. So basically, Postman is a software who is cross-checking or working only for the API part. Okay. So firstly, what we are supposed to do, we can create an account in Postman. Okay. Right now, I am logging with my one of the account. Okay. So this is my account. This is my account. Okay. So I log in with my account right now, and after login in that the
Are we
account of
supposed
the
to create a
Postman,
Postman account as well?
yes,
Are we
that
supposed to
will
have
show you.
one?
If you have that thing, that is fine. You are not supposed to be create a new one. If you have it, that is fine. So this
Is
is
this
the
something
Postman
that
page.
we're going to
Okay.
be doing as Okta admin? Like have a Postman account, or in the organization they may use something else, like another app.
Huh. So if you are having that the account as per like your admin account for use for the Postman, that is also fine. If you have that thing, that is also fine. Generally, the thing it is that in the organization they will give you the access of Postman also to checking on that the API or work on the API part. Okay, it's a open source software API Postman API part. Okay, it is generally used for that the developer to design and work on that the API part. Okay, I'll show you the method where exactly the things are be there. To log in on clicking on the Postman API platform. If you know that thing, that is also fine. So you entered after checking you are entering your credential over there. You are inside in that the Postman dashboard area. Okay. So there are supposed to be two things. Once you come inside that thing, so firstly you need to create your workspace. Okay. You need to create your workspace. Workspace basically means a area where exactly you are supposed to work. It's like a, a Word document having lots of templates are be there. So you need to choose the blank template once you are going to work a new things inside it. So it's same here, same similarly over here in the Postman. Every time or like you can use your workspace area where exactly you wanted to do some testing development and other kind of activity, you can create your own workspace. Like even Postman give us a default one, my workspace something. So I created one workspace which is my workspace name something. Okay, if I wanted to create something, you need to click over there, create workspace. If you wanted to work on your existing workspace, so you can click on these. Okay, these are the existing one workspace. If I am doing such kind of activity which is pending something or which is already been done, or I wanted to extend some type of activity over there in the previous workspace, so I am going with the existing one workspace. If I am doing such kind of activity which is supposed to be new or it is going to be lengthy in future, so I'll create a new workspace. So once clicking the workspace, so that is the blank workspace which is coming over here. Okay, so I need to click on next. Now he is telling that please give me the workspace name. Okay, so I am giving you test workspace. Okay, now I am going to create it. Okay, so the name is coming over here, test workspace for API. Correct. Once it is to be done, now the second thing is environment. We need to work on our environment part. On which environment we are supposed to work. There is collection part and there is environment part. Now we click on the environment part. So now there is two things. The environment you are supposed to be create a new environment. Okay, like this way. Okay, it's giving the new environment, or either you can edit it. Okay, so this is the new environment which is comes under in the test workspace for API. So the environment over here, it's come over with, okay. So the environment part comes with the variable type, initial value, and the current value. Type, I already told you, this is the data type, either the integer, date, format, whatever the type it is supposed to be, it is comes over here. Okay, and there is one more thing in the Postman, which is collection. Collections are generally the things which is comes in the way like how we are going to retrieve the data, putting the data, or fetching the data. Okay, so that is comes under in the collection part. Like over here, if we wanted to create a new collection, we can go with the black collection set. Or if we are already having such kind of things with us like Okta collections and all the things, we can add all the collections over here in the Postman area. So it is by default it is coming, and we can get those things from the developer page from the Okta side. I'll show you. Okay. So this is the page import Postman collection, which is given by the Okta. It is the website name is developer.okta.com. Document, under document there is references and the Postman collections. So you can see we have lots of importing the Postman collection, which is going to be work on that the Okta API collections for the Postman in the listing part. If we wanted to work on the activity of administrator role, we can add this collection. If we wanted to work on the application part, we can add this collection. If we wanted to work on authentication activity, we can add this thing. Authenticator, add this thing. Branding, captcha, everything. So it is lots of, you can see lots of collections are already been available for us for making it out for testing purpose, or not only the testing purpose, but if we wanted to retrieve such kind of data from the API part, or with the help of API, or adding such kind of activity or work in that the Okta dashboard with the help of API, we can do that type of activity over with the help of this source of this collections. Okay, like if I'm going to show you, like there is one more collection. Lots of guys are supposed to add all those collections. That is also fine. If you have some limited amount of work or such kind of things you wanted to work, so you can add that kind of. Like if I'm taking that user, I'm taking only that the user collection. Okay, let me take one more thing. Taking the group side also. Okay. So you can see in the postman, it will directly these collections are being added on my workspace area and on my created one thing. So it is saying that these collection which I am getting it from the Okta side, which workspace I wanted to import in. So let me import on test workspace for API. Right? Similarly, you can see in the below screen imported this collection has been imported successfully. Now for the group part. So the names which is coming over here as for the workspace file. Like if I have some pending things on my previous one workspace and I want to do such kind of activity or collection are supposed to be imported on previous workspace, so I can choose that thing. If it is not going to be required, I can import on the new one. Okay, okay, fine. Now you can see that thing in the collection part, all of the collections are comes over here. Okay, okay. Let me show you one by one. So once we created the users activity API part, so it was this collection is telling us like whether you are supposed to creating the user, you can go with that type of activity. If you wanted to credential operations type of activity, you can go with that thing. Okay. So each and every folder or each and everything comes with such kind of commands. Like APIs are working on our HTTP side, HTTPS side, on that our exchanging server side. Okay. So it will having such kind of commands. So commands, what commands are we there? We have commands get, put, post, delete. These are such kind of four commands through which we are supposed to create, update, or delete, or fetch the data. Okay, it's just like a CURD operation. Okay, CURD means CURD. C is for creating, U for updating, R for reading, or D for deleting the data. Okay. Similarly, this card has to be put on over in this form of command get. Whether we are supposed to getting the information from the user perspective, or if we wanted to get an information, retrieve the information, or so it means that we are reading the information. So that command is called the reading one. Put. Whether we are supposed to use the put command, so generally it means whether we are supposed to creating something in some area. Now the post, post and delete. So these commands are supposed to be used accordingly. We wanted to do some operational work or activity with the help of an API. Okay, okay. Let me take a little bit easier for you guys. Okay. Okay, so over here, this is the list users. Now we have in the Okta we have lots of users are with it. Okay. Now how these users are supposed to be, we can check or verified with the help of that the Okta. So we can list it out with the help of these kind of updated commands. So this is a get command. Get command is generally to fetching out the data or reading out that data. Okay. So if we wanted to read out the list of users which are be there in our Okta tenant, we can work on with the help of list user. If I click over here, let me click. Okay. Okay. So once I click over here, it is showing me such kind of thing. It is showing me that these kind of things. Params, auth, header, body, script, test, and setting. So params is the parameters. What type of parameters we are supposed to be entering or fetching out the details. it will give us that the limit of 25. So it means that 25 user I can fetch it out. Okay. Auth. Auth basically means that inheriting auth from the parent side. Inherit auth from parent side, whatever the credentials or whatever the command we are supposed to be there, it will fetching out on the behalf of the thing. The authorization header will be automatically generated when you send the request. Okay. Now it has come the header part. So header part is saying that it will accept it, content type what is, and the authorization with the API key. Now you can see here are two things which we required over here. One thing we required is the URL. URL basically means our tenant URL. Where from we get this information in the Postman collection site. So we required such kind of URL. So what is our URL? Our URL is this. This is our URL. So where is the URL? This is our URL. Now we are supposed to add the variable in our URL file. We are setting the variable. We have set the URL. The user limit is supposed to be 21. Now it's required the API part. So where is our API key? I already added or stored somewhere in my notepad. So if I forget to put it down over here, so where I get this API, and then I need to create a new token for that thing. So that's why I stored in the notepad. Now I'm going to add the value for API key. So I added the value for API key. So now both the things are going to be set. I put it down my tenant value or the URL, or I put it down that the API key. So why it is supposed to be required? Only two things. First thing is going to be required if we are fetching out the list of user. So where exactly we have to touch it down? What is the endpoint for that thing? So that is our Okta tenant URL. Okay, that is the first thing. Now second thing is the authorization part. On which basis we can authorize to go or entered in our tenant. So where exactly how we can go inside that thing? We can go only with the help of such kind of tokens. Okay, so that's why I'm saying that API tokens are very crucial or the private thing which is supposed to be helpful to get the information on any of the tenant side. That's why that the rest of the world of the hackers in the dark side or the Tor website side, these hackers are generally looking ahead for these kind of tokens. They are making that type of tokens. Once any of that type of random token is going to be work for them to access any of that the organizational data or transaction, they will fetch it out with the help of that. Okay, so that's why the two things are supposed to be there and required. Okay, now the next thing it is supposed to be there. We have our workspace over here. Now we have already set a environment. We create our environment. So we need to make our environment from no environment to the new environment because we have the new environment. We created the new environment in our environment page. Now we are supposed to send this command. Let's see what will happen. So you can see that once I click on send, it will reflect back the 200. 200 OK generally means that status, status of an API, which is successful. Okay, if it is I am getting 201, 400, 404. So it means that the status is invalid or having such issue. Okay. So it means that your API is not supposed to work on that time, unsuccessful attempt or such kind of other activity. So 200 OK means that it is the standard response for successful HTTP request. Our request, which we are passing on with the help of from the postman to our tenant in the Okta, it will connect successfully. It will responding back to us in a successful manner. Okay, in the GET request, the response will contain a entitle corresponding to the request resources. In POST request, the response will contain the entitlement describing for content containing the result of an action. So this kind of things we have already seen. How many minutes it will taking, milliseconds it will take? It will take 1434 millisecond to get the response. And what the size of our listing out this detail is 2.13 KB. Okay, so these all the things which is taken
So
care by our API
what do we
team.
do in a
Yeah.
situation where, so is it standard 200 okay? And when is not 200 okay, how do we troubleshoot it if we have any issues?
I'll show you.
Okay.
Like, let me see. Let me go with the other environment. No environment. Okay. The environment is not fine. Okay. Now I'm going to get back this send command again. Okay, we already tested, that's why it's not taking. Okay, I'll show you when it is not supposed to be done, whether our API is not be there in a proper manner. Okay, one supposed to be like it's two, it's not is one. Okay, you see 401. 401 basically means unauthorized able access is found. Okay, so it's saying that somewhere your authentication or the authorization is not supportable. Your authentication of that the API, which means you are checking with that the API is not going to authorize for your tenant part. So it's showing me such kind of error 401. Okay, so again 401, 403, 404, these all the things are the authentication failure errors. Okay, your token is not supported. Somehow your URL is not supported. Okay, if I am going back and I am doing such kind of thing again too, and I'm tenant value, I'm not going to do this thing. I'm going to 8. Now I'm going to send it back. Now it's saying again 401 unauthorization. So what is saying in the error part? It is saying invalid token provided. Invalid token provided means for this tenant, this token value is not supportable. Okay. So these kind of error ID, error link, error code, error summary has to be coming up over here if such kind of activity is not valid. Okay, so our task it is to be there to listing out that the users with the help of our API from our Okta tenant. So let's go back. Now everything in the API come in the JSON format. As I mentioned to you, there are two things. API also are always we work on REST or the SOAP. Okay, and the format of our APIs are comes over in the JSON format. Like JSON is basically that JavaScript pages, or sorry, JavaScript, so like a format which is supposed to be work on that the HTTP or the REST API part. Okay, so these thing you can see ID, status, created, activated, status change, last login, last update, password change. So why, what all these things? These all the things related to the user, whatever the user which we are having. This is the first user. His user is not supposed to be that coming with the user. Let me show you. how we are supposed to validate that part. Directory. Okay. APIs are always comes in the format of JSON. It is not showing me that the direct name. Okay. So all the accounts are deactivated. Why these accounts are deactivated? Will anybody tell at me know? Why these accounts are deactivated? Because if you know, few days back we created one of the automation, okay, in the lifecycle management. If users are not supposed to be activating or working on the Okta platform within 7 days, their account are supposed to be deactivated. So that automation works over here. Their accounts are supposed to be deactivated. Why? Because we did some activity on this workflow automation part over here. We created test automation or test do something. Okay, what inside that thing? Over here, this for every group one or everyone. The password expire in Okta within 3 days, or user account has changed to be in the suspended mode. And what would be the next one in the test 2? This one. If user inactive in Okta for 15 days, 15 days, user inactive in Okta. It means that if a user is not coming back to Okta or doing any or not going to do any kind of activity in an Okta for within the 15 days, his account is supposed to be deactivated. That's why our accounts, all of the user account right now is deactivated. Okay, coming back to our scenario of the API people. Let's go with this semi set. So this is the user profile, complete user profile, and where we have to find the user, oh sorry, yes, user customer ID or user ID. So this is the user ID of this user. Okay, now I copy it. Now I'll show you over here. 697. Let me check over this thing. Yes. So this is one of that user. Semi state. This user profile is user, oh sorry, ID. This means that ID means customer ID or the person ID. So user is defined in that the API with this ID part, not the username part. So 697 is the Sinmi set. His account or not. It is not her account. It is 97 is something.
Okay,
He is
there is one
697.
more user.
Yes, wait. Okay, got it. 3Z697. Actually, his account is activated, so it means that in both of their account is only activated. So yes, okay, the last user is that. The administrator account is having that customer. Okay, yes, this is the user. 3Z697. Okay, so this is the result. 3Z697 and his account is activated or his status is active. When his account is created, is mentioning the date and time, and activation date is coming over here. And when his status is changed and the last login, everything else comes over here in his ID. Okay. Now the type with the ID with the profile. Now you can see the result. What is the user profile stating us with the attribute? The profile first name is oneness, last name is cloud. So whatever his login ID, it is comes over here. The email part and the credential part is not coming over here. The type is Okta. Okay. So this is the other links. Other links means whether the user belongs to this tenant. It is comes over here. Okay. Similarly, for the other user, this is the other user which is already been activated in status. So that user is the last user, I think. I think Mark Henry, because he is the only activated person. Two of the users are only activated. Yes, Mark Henry. Okay. So his ID is S697. S697. His account is also. So we can see his ID profile Mark Henry. Okay. So those value which are not been provided in the Okta, that is comes over here in the null format. Means null. Null means no data available. Okay. His profile is coming from Active Directory. It is saying over. So everything we can test it and we can check, or either we can do some modification over here. Okay. So it's listing out only those users which are activated. It's not saying us those users which are deactivated. Okay. So that commands are supposed to be work, or we can do this kind of activity on the operationals area, majorly on the operationals area. Okay. Like user side over here, these kind of thing, list user with the search part,
If
list
you're
user with
sharing
the
your screen,
update, and
we can't see your screen if you're sharing it.
screen is not shared. Oh, now it is visible.
Um,
Now is
when
it
you share,
visible?
yes, yes, it's visible now. Yes.
Okay. So it means that over here we can see that the user's ID, with the help of user ID, we can list it out the things, and we can get the status of that the particular user with the help of this API key. Okay. So API key will help us out to fetch out the details, not even the fetch out the details, whether we wanted to do some kind of activity of the creation side, modification side, we can do that type of activity with the help of the API's key values, because API key or the tokens are the only thing through which we can connect to our tenant. Okay, the tenant means the URL, and how these things are supposed to be checked or do such kind of things in the Postman. The Postman will help us out to work over on these kind of activities which are supposed to be there. Okay, there are lots of other activities are be there. Okay, in the lifecycle operations area, right, for activating user, for deactivated user, for unlock user. So you can see the post method is something which we are supposed to updating, okay, or which we are supposed to creating. So the post method is going to do this thing, the post command, and the get command is for the fetching types of activity. Similarly, post, put, or like get or delete, these four commands are be there in the API side, majorly on this in the API side, four, only four commands are be there. Okay. Similarly, on the group side, like whether we are supposed to add a group, so we can put it down to post, add group, such kind of things. Okay. So not only you can fetch it out, you can add it out, such kind of activity over here. Okay. Let me do one thing. just one more thing for the group part. Add for adding the group. Let me add the URL, the tenant value. Okay, in the API part, we will have the API key. Okay, let me add body. What comes in the body? This. This is something it just comes in the body part. If you wanted to add a group name, so that the group name is West Coast user. Okay, let me add the group name. I just wanted to do API. Okay, so I name it that the group name is the API test group, and it's used for adding group with the API testing. Let me check it out. It's going to work or not. It's saying 200 okay. Status is successful. So what it's saying? The group ID. This is the not the user ID. This is the group ID. If you are going or working in the group, so that will come the group ID. If you are working on the user side, that will the user ID. So when it is created on date and that everything is comes over here. Object class is the user group, and the type is it comes under that the Okta group. And profile, the name of the group name is API test group, and rest of the description part over here. Okay, so image is coming, large is coming, and everything, the user, application, everything. If a group is assigned to the particularly application, okay, or the application is assigning to the group, so that is comes over through this link. You can check over this link. Or one more thing, if a user is assigned to the particularly group, you can click on that link. It will directly redirect to the particularly page of where exactly it is supposed to be there. Now, if we edit that thing, is it available over here or not? Let's see. Because we are working on the API part, so everything we can do with the help of API. Now we can test on the group. So you can see that the group is created with the help of API. You think API test group is used for adding groups with the API testing. Okay. So this kind of activity we are supposed to work with the API, not only to fetching the data, we can get and updating the data and listing out the data with the help of such kind of groups. Okay. So these things, these are the totally the collections. Under the collection, such kind of operations which is supposed to be taken care or done by that the administrator side. So either the administrator go and do such kind of activity with the help of Okta dashboard, that is fine. It's such kind of activity which is supposed to be only done by the help of API. So he has supposed to do this activity with the help of Postman and do or create such kind of workspace, the environment, and test it over all of the things. Okay, so these are the such kind of the scenario. Yeah, yeah, go ahead.
Can you share the link of how we can create our Postman account? And then the second thing I wanted to say is, can we also use Postman to create, instead of using the virtual machine to create the groups and the users and move it into Okta, can we use Postman to create the users and the groups and also move it into Okta? Is this something we can use apart from just the APIs?
Yes, not the APIs, basically that things. I am uh, showing you that the things where exactly and how the API is very much useful for to making out that kind of activities. Where in that the postman is just a, you can say, an IDE and the environment or the platform where you tested over or work on your API. Okay, there are lots of other tools are be there, or the softwares like Spring Boot. It is one of them. Postman is one of them. Okay, where we can do such kind of operational work or some administrator or testing purpose. We can do such kind of things in that the Postman. Okay, so on the second note, it is to the linked part and all. I will give you that thing. These are the collection which is supposed to be totally taken care by the Okta for the postman, only for the postman, not for other things. That link is developer.okta.com. So I think yesterday we talked about this service provider, correct?
Yeah, service provider is the last topic.
Yep, yep, yep. So do you understand these things? Like these are the major things which we talk about lot of the times, or these are, you can say, the uh, those terminologies, those words you can see in your future.
Hmm.
Okay, with many terms like service provider, identity provider. So
Hmm.
just focus on that part. Like there are two things. One is your identity provider, where all the identities are being stored or managed or authenticate. Okay, this is the main repository from where our users are going to engage with rest of the applications or authenticate in different application in the downstream applications. Okay, so the whatever this I'm saying to the downstream application, that means these are the service provider side. Okay, there are two things. One is the identity provider and second is your service provider. Okay, in between we are capable or doing the stuff of our identity and access management, any kind of product. Okay, in between that. Okay, that is in the comes in this picture. Okay, so in coming sessions like in Okta or any kind of tool you wanted to go ahead in future or learn, so you can see in these kind of activities so many times, or these kind of terms are being used so many times. Okay, let me give you one example. I'll come back on this PPT again. Okay, so what exactly I'm trying to say over here. One is our identity provider, IDP. Okay, and the second side it is we are having SP provider, service provider. Okay, so the identity provider what we are having, either it going to be our Okta, because Okta is also one of the behaving as a identity provider or service provider. Let's take an example, not taking the Okta right now, then you will confused. Okay, let's take our identity provider is our Active Directory, AD. Okay, and our service provider is our applications like Zoom application, O365 application. Okay, O365 means Outlook, PowerPoint, whatever the things, Teams, channels, and anything. Okay, then we are having some Slack application, Salesforce application. Okay, or you can say any kind of application, SAP application. So these are our service provider application because these applications are providing the services. Okay, and in our AD side, what is inside the AD? Inside the AD, we are having our identity. Correct. So our identity, what the identity is having, their username and the password, correct? That is being stored over here. And even the identities are having their attributes like the name, age, location, correct? So these are all the attributes which are having. So when our my identity is going to touch any kind of application over here, he should be authenticating on those applications. Once they are authenticating, so on that side, service provider gives him a way to authorize them. They are coming from a genuine source. They are coming from the genuine source. Like the repository, the authentication has been taken care by the Active Directory. Then they are able to log in you in that application. Until not. Okay. So the process between identity provider to service provider, who is supposed to be taken care in between? There are couple of products. Right now we are talking about Okta. Okay, so these are the products who are managing, who are making a bridge between your identity provider users to get capable to access your service provider applications. Okay, so these terms you can see in lot of many times. Like identity provider is anything, your Azure Active Directory, Azure Intra ID, your AWS, okay, your Google, okay, your Active Directory, on-prem Active Directory, okay, any kind of Active Directory who is managing your identity, correct? Let's come back to our main slide. So this is the terms like Active Directory means IDP or service provider. You can came across in future so many times. Okay. So this is our slide. So these are the two things which I'm talking to you too much. Now we are having SAML. Now what is SAML and what is OAuth and what is OIDC? Okay. So these are all the three are the protocols. These are all three the protocols through which we are going to connect our application of the service provider side. Okay. So these are the methods. You can say the protocols, the methods, the way how we can connect all those applications. Okay. Again, I am going in the paint and describe you a little bit like protocols. I am talking about right now protocols, or we call it as a methods. These what type of protocol, what type of methods they are? They are authentication protocol. Authentication for whom? Who is going to authenticate? User. So how user is going to authenticate himself in application, which is on, we call it a service provider. So how it is going to be authenticated? Then they are using SAML, security assertion markup language. OAuth means other authorization method. OIDC, Open ID Connect. We call it as a Open ID Connect. Okay, these three are the methods through which user is going to connect with those all application with the authentication mechanism. Okay, apart from these protocols, we are having some other protocols in Okta like SWA, Secure Web Authentication. Okay, Secure Web Authentication. Okay, there is one more protocol we call is a WS Fed. WS Federation, we call it is a WS Federation, means web-based federation, which is only workable for accessing O365 application, means Microsoft application, specifically bound for Microsoft application. We are using WS Federation. Okay. For other, we can use SAML, OAuth, OIDC. It depends how these applications are having a capability of all these protocols. Okay. It is too fast and it is too hard to understand in the first time. But once we see in all of the things in Okta, you can easily grab that knowledge. Okay. I'm just giving you the heads up about that. These are only the protocols. Okay. We can talk about this thing later also. Okay.
One
So
question
secure.
here.
Yep, go ahead.
Yeah, SAML and Auth and OIDC is the methodologies are like a protocol, set of protocols.
These are the set of protocols for authentication protocol, we can say.
Okay, in the access management also we have set of protocols like how to manage and how to access the controls, right? Then what is the
Yeah.
difference between that one and this one?
Access management in terms of like,
In the access management also have set of protocols like how to control and manage the access activities, right?
so the managing the activities and other part it is to be there. That is to be done by set of policies, set of rules are be there. Okay.
Okay.
There is
Mm-hmm.
no set of protocols. These protocols are generally work on your website, means web area. Okay, in the cloud platform. Whether you are going to touch any kind of applications. Okay. These are going to work only on that area, whether you are going to touch these kind of applications, like how it is going to be done. Okay, let me give you one more heads up so you can easily understand. So the access control has to be taken care by a set of rules, policies, which is to be already been implemented by the organization. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
that is the one area.
Mm-hmm.
Second area is to be there, like in your organization are having one AD. Okay, or the IDP it is to be there. Okay, and in your organization is connecting with some other applications also for work. Okay, so how user over here get connect with those applications? So first, before user is going to access those applications, we need to integrate both the things. We need to join, we need to connect all of the things like IDP to application, we need to connect. Then after, second place is to be the for user authentication side. This is the first area, then it is to a second area. For the first area, for connecting application to our IDP, we required certain kind of protocol, as I told you. So that's why it is called as a protocol for authentication. Okay. Once it is to be the making a connection between both of the them, then user is get to authenticate themselves. Okay, with this channel. This channel is now already set up, then user is jump on that area and access himself. Okay, so this is the way how we are going to authenticate our user. That's why we call it as a authentication methods. Okay, any
Got it.
questions so far?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you. I got the
Okay,
clarification.
yeah. So that protocol, that mechanism, something different, that control are something different. These are something other area, because you have seen the protocol that enable SSO across different organization and platform, like a user login in Workday HR system using company credential without re-entering his login details. Okay. So how it is going to be done? How he is able to access the Workday applications? Okay, with the help of their credentials of the company credentials. Okay, once he's typing a company credentials in a Workday, so how Workday will authenticate that person? So Workday authenticate that person because on the first time Workday integrated with our one of that the IDP, or either one of that the area of the protocol through which we can connect any kind of our protocol, either it is to be the Okta, either with some other things. Okay, then it is going to be happen. I'll give you a complete picture once we are doing certain kind of activity. These protocols are majorly whether at the time is using when we are using any kind of onboarding in Okta or any kind of product. We are onboarding any application in our premises. Then we are using these protocols. Okay. Then you will easily understand about SAML, OAuth, and OpenID Connect. Okay. I'll give you a heads up when they are coming in this picture. Okay. So that is over here just a terminology. If you came across these terminology, you will easily figure it out. Okay. Now, what is user? So user, you already know, an individual or entity accessing any kind of system or an application, that is our user. Like Sarah is a software engineer logging into a company and the GitHub repository. So it means that Sarah is a user, correct? Similarly, for our groups, what exactly we call it is a groups. Groups basically means a collection of users. Okay, like you, me, all of the person who is inside in that session right now. So we are a group of person who get to know what exactly the Okta it is. We are taking the session of Okta training. So we are in a group. We are all the users. Okay, so there should be some users who are specifically bound for one application or one kind of activity. Then we collect inside in one group. So if my organization, I am hiring for IT engineers. Okay, so I'll put them in an IT group. Okay, if I'm hiring only for marketing guy, I'll put them in a marketing area because their skill set is according to their domain. Domain means either they are IT domain, either they belongs to the marketing domain. Okay, then we call it the group of users who is bound with specific kind of activities assigned to them. Okay, so it's easy for me to understand in my organization that these guys are belongs to the cybersecurity, these guys belongs to the development area, these are guys belongs to the testing department. Okay, so that is how we can segregate their capabilities under those groups. Okay, now it comes to the role. If group is defined, if we know that user, if we know the groups, now what is exactly the role of that user? Role basically defined that a set of permission assigned to user based on his job function. Okay, according to his job, according to his workability, according to his work, what exactly he is going to perform. So on that time, we am going to assign him a role. Like if a guy who is working on certain kind of office activity or any kind of things in operational side, so we can assign a service desk role for that person, correct? Or like a help desk kind of activity as a help desk analyst kind of role is we are creating in an office for them, who can just take care about that the user, the client issue on that side. Similarly, like software developer role, if the guy who is deploying or implementing any kind of activity in a project, so we call it is a software developer role. Under the software developer role, we are having the multiple groups also. Okay, like a software developer role, we can assign some guys in that unit testing group, some guys in the implementation group, some guys in the documentation group. So again, there is again a little bit of segregation we can implement on that side also. Okay, like a database administrator role has permission to modify database configuration. So that role is given to one person, database administration. This role is given to one of the person who can do data configuration kind of activity only. Okay, so that's why a set of permission assigned to user based on his job, job function. Correct?
Yeah.
Now we are having the service account. We are having multiple accounts like admin account, okay, like privilege account. What exactly the service account? Service account is basically a special type of account used by applications or automate process instead of human. Okay, just read one more time. It's a special kind of account used by application or automated process instead of human. There is no such human account. If in an organization there is no human account, that means either it is a service account. Okay, like a backup script uses a service account to store files on a cloud server. Okay, so there should be some script which is going to be running on our area in a cloud server side. So that's why we call it is a service accounts. Okay, like how it is going to be helpful for us, like at the time whether we are enabling or we are doing certain kind of activity, like in an automation for automation purpose, like the guys who are working or the guys who are not going to work, the system wants to upgrade. Okay, so on that time there should be some service account is going to be running that the script, whether for an automated purpose, like it going to be start every month and it going to be start every you can say mid of the year. Every year this kind of service is going to be started to update himself. So that account we call it is a service account. In our system also there are a lot of service accounts who just keep checking any kind of update. It's keep checking any kind of suspicious activity, any antivirus, any kind of things. Okay, that service accounts is also be built up in our systems also. Similarly, these service accounts are workable for us in a project side also. Okay, in IDM side, not in project, IDM side, identity and access management, complete infrastructure area, where automation has to be taken care by these service accounts. Okay, now we are having the identity. What should be that? The machine identity. Machine identity means a unique identity assigned to non-human entities. Okay, that we call it is a machine identity, like your IoT devices, like your server, like your bots. Okay, like your servers. Okay, like your printer. So what exactly these are? These are the machine identity. All you know that these are the machines, like IoT devices are machines, bot is a machine. Okay, printer, server, these are all the machines. So that's why we call it is a machine identity. Why we call it is a identity now? So we are calling it as an identity just because these are having their own model number, their tag number, their specification, okay, their capabilities, their storing capabilities. Every machine having come with this kind of thing. Okay, like if I'm talking about a machine like your laptop machine, so it's having a model number, it's having his invoice number, it's having his configuration related to what is having like RAM, GB, okay, like hard disk, okay, like CPU, like processor. So these are all the configuration of that identity of machine identity. Okay, what's the example for that? A self-driving car authenticate itself to a traffic management system. Okay, so how it is to be there, like machine identity, a unique identity which is non-human. So we can take an example for a self-driving car. It will authenticate himself. Okay, he knows himself that whatever the signal it is to be comes in front of car, it will work accordingly. Okay, so these machines are help us on that way. Like for a bot, okay, in any kind of bot you have seen, if you are entering your query, he immediately asks you, hi, I'm this thing and what's your problem, let me know. That's the thing. Okay, then you put down your details over there. Then eventually a next side, a human guide is to be sitting there, he will come up, either it will roll out the same thing for you. That's again questions and answers. Okay, these kind of things call it a machine identity. Now there is a device authentication. It will ensure and secure communication between machine and the system. Okay, machine and the system means, like, there is a machine, there is a bot. Okay, he check whatever you are saying to him, whatever your issue it is to be there, either it is resolved or not, it will check in the backend side. Okay, it will check your authenticity from the backend area also. Okay, so that's the things we call it is a device authentication on that time. Okay, your machine with the system authentication area. Okay, so that we call it is a machine identity. Now there is one more thing is a session token. If you know the session, you can easily understand what is session token. Session means right now I am teaching you Okta training, IAM training. So that is I am in a session. Okay. So every session come up with the token. Okay. A temporary credential issued for an inactive user sessions or an active user session. Okay. Like right now we are in a meeting. Okay, in a meeting we have a session, so there should be some code for this session, correct? That code is going to be expire after 1 hour, after 1 hour or 2 hours or 3 hours. Okay, so the special kind of token which is assigned for certain kind of duration and issued to that person for generating or going forward in that session. So that we call it is a session token, a temporary based token. Okay. After that thing, once this thing is going to be over, this token is going to be expire. Okay. As you've seen in multiple times in the Teams. Okay. There should be some code, passcode, Zoom call. There should be some passcode. If the person who don't know the passcode, so he is not able to access that session. Okay. If he enter any token over there, a passcode over there, he will join that token. After certain duration of time, once this session is over, okay, if he going to join that code again, he can't able to join that again. Okay, this is the we call it is a session token. Like in a shopping website, issues a temporary login token valid for only 24 hours. Correct? You have seen lot of many times. Like whether at the Amazon Prime sale is going on, or either big billion day from the Flipkart is going on, or lot of other channel it is to be there. Okay, so on that time they just launch a session token on that time. Okay, so these kind of thing you have seen at the time of your APIs. Okay, the API is having these kind of activity. A API having a certain kind of you can say the information whether it is passing on to different location. Till the time it is passing or transferring from one area to different area, there should be they are going to authenticate themselves on the basis of their session token. Once the session is established, then they authenticate themselves by the token value. Okay, that's why it is comes in this picture in IAM session token. PAM is all you know about that part. PAM, what exactly the meaning of PAM? As we already know, privilege accounts. Okay, so now over here is a privilege account is quite similar, or it is going to be here completely be the right area for PAM. Privilege account directly correlated with privilege access management area. Okay, like we are having the control access as in the privilege account, like strict management for the privilege account. It will monitoring continuous oversight of privilege activities, risk mitigation, like means reducing potential damage from compromised account. Okay, that's why this whole parameter, all area, we call it is a PAM solution. Okay, we are only talking about that the privilege activities, a security solution that controls and monitor privilege account access only. Privilege account access means only a few IT admins can reset password or all employees. Okay, for all employees. Then we call it is a privilege account management. Okay, so there should be some guys who are having the privilege access. Okay, then they are only that the right person who can do a specific kind of activity for all the employees or either for one of the employees. Okay, to making this kind of activity under the management area, then the term comes under the privilege access management. Okay, for privilege access management, which tool is going to be helpful for that? We are having some different tools like CyberArk. These PAM solutions or these PAM category is comes under again in the IAM side. Okay, similarly for IGA. Now IGA, what's the IGA? It is IGA stand for basically managing user account from creation or deletion. This is one of the capability of the IGA. Access request, streamlining the process of requesting and approving the request, like that is comes under the IGA part. And compliance auditing area, like regularly check ensuring there are policies a company enforce automatically or not, that is comes under the IGA. IGA in terms we call it is a governance. Okay, if you know what exactly the meaning of governance, you can easily understand that part. So what exactly we are governing? We are governing the identity. Okay, we are doing this governance on the administrator side. Okay, so that's the capability comes in this picture. IGA helpful for us in the identity lifecycle management. Identity lifecycle management means once how the user is going to be created, how is self-service activities going on in the industry or the system, and how is offboarded from that the organization. So the creating the identity till the deletion of the identity, that is comes under the IGA. Okay, access request. If user is requesting for any kind of role, any kind of application, if you're requesting for any kind of privilege, so who is going to assign all this accessing or who is providing all those access and approval. This kind of activity we can see lot of the time in the IGA solutions. Okay, for IGA solutions, what we are having for IGA solution, we are having one different tool called SailPoint, Savient. Okay, these kind of tools are going to be work in our IGA parameter. But again, IGA is the part of IAM also. Okay. Similarly for clients audit, compliance audit. So compliance audit basically means if I am the manager, I am one of my subordinate requesting some of the permissions. He is looking for some of the accessibility. So I am approving his request. Okay. But in an industry, how we can figure it out? How many requests has been generated? How many approval has been given to in the industry, in the system till so far? So we can audit that thing also. Okay, with the help of certain kind of tools. Okay, in SailPoint, there is we call it as a certification. In the certification review, we can check all these things like quarterly basis, yearly basis, by half yearly basis. We can check all those audits. How many licenses has been done? How many the licenses part is going to be expire? Okay, who is going to be? How many request has been generated for this user? How many times he is going to generate this request, how many times he is approving. Okay, so we can circulate or we can track the record from the report and we can audit all those reports. That's why it comes under compliance audit area. Okay, so these are the three capabilities which is going to be taken care by your IGA. Okay, you have identity lifecycle management. Okay, it's similar to your lab cycle management. Lab cycle management, as I already told you, like whether the user is hiring in an organization, how his ID is going to be modified. He's getting some promotion in an organization. He's getting a lot of projects in an organization. So these modifications are going on in that organization on the identity side. Again, the identity is going to be like uh, leaving from an organization or a project. So we call it as a deactivation of the account or offboardation of the account or disabling the account. So that's why we complete solution we call it is a life cycle management. In childhood days you have seen or you have read about that area like life cycle, create a life cycle of butterfly, create a life cycle of human. Okay, so these kind of things is similar for over here in the identity and access management platform also. Okay, life cycle management of the user, life cycle management of the identity, how it is going to be created, where the identity we are taking. Okay, either from outside, either from inside, how his ID is going to be modified. Okay, according to his designation, his manager has been changed, his designation has been changed. Okay, so there's kind of things we can see in our life cycle management. So it means that the process of creating, updating, removing your identities across your IT system, like an employee is automatically assigned access to required tools upon joining. Okay, required tools means at the time of joining, he is getting some tools like he's getting some email accounts he's already been created for him. Correct? He is authenticating in certain areas, accessing part is going to be created for him. Employee ID has been created for him. So these are the part of his life cycle area of this identity. Okay, so that is comes under life cycle management. Now there is one more major term it is to be comes in picture. This is cloud infrastructure entitlement management. CIEM. We call it is a CIEM. These all the things like CIEM, CIAM. Okay. So they are a complete, they are having a complete posture, I can say. These are the complete IAM postures through which industries are running. Okay, so if I'm talking about that project belongs to CIEM, so it means that it belongs to the security approach project. Okay, where I can do certain kind of activity like managing access right, entitlement in the cloud environment. Entitlements are nothing but it's these are the permissions. Okay, entitlement equal to the permission, you can say that. Okay, so whatever the things we are doing in the cloud area at the approach of security, that we call it is under comes under the CIM area. Okay, these are the some you can say bigger, you can say not the bigger, these are the some different area different area but belongs to the IAM. These are the complete inside they are a complete solution. Okay, through which the companies are or the organizations are running. Okay, like an example, the AWS IAM alerts an admin about an unused but highly privileged user's accounts are be there. Okay, like cloud security, it will ensure a proper access control in the complex cloud infrastructure. So these CIM, CIEM or CIAM access management area, so they are having a complete solution in it. Our industries are built in that parameter. Okay, they are having a certain kind of activity which is running in that industry. So that's why they are putting in that area in the cloud side. Okay, so we can see all these terms like CIEM, CIM in a project area. Once you are deploying certain kind of projects, so you can see, you can get to know what exactly that thing. Like a client having a CIM platform, okay, or CIM infrastructure. So you can easily understand what exactly going on in this client project or this client industry. Okay, after checking this thing. Now there is zero trust security. Zero trust security. What is mean by the zero trust security? Zero trust security means trust nobody, verify every time. Okay, like an example over here, a security model that assumes no user or device is trustworthy without continuous verification. Okay, like you are Revati or you are showing me your identity card, but I am not going to trust you. Then you are showing me some other thing. Then again, I am not going to trust you for your authenticity. Again, you are showing me something that I belongs to that area, this access card belongs to me, this laptop belongs to me. So on that parameter I am cross verifying to you. Okay, so that we call it is a zero trust security or zero trust model. In our organization, in any organization, there should be those organizations who are built upon on the IAM infrastructure. They are having this kind of security policies or this kind of zero trust models are being implemented there. Okay, like as I told you yesterday session, once in the security guard asking you for your ID card, you can show him, correct? Again, your verification has been done, but again you just came up to at the front of your ODC door, then again it will ask you your identity, then you can punch your access card over there, correct? After that thing you just sit around your machine. In machine you are entering your username and password. Either you are using the wrong password, is not going to authenticate you, again he is checking for your verification, correct? So that's the model, we call it is zero trust security. Okay, like an example, every login attempt is verified even after knowing the user. Okay, I know that person, I know everything of the person, but I am going to continuously verifying that person till the time he is going to authenticate. Okay, so continuous verification it is to be there means implementing ongoing checks rather than one-time authentication. One-time authentication is not be there in zero trust security method. Okay, you need to be re-verify yourself, re-authenticate yourself. So that is the major thing which is going to be implemented in every area in IAM security posture or either in your organization's area. If it is not be there, so it means that there should be some breach will come in your organization. Okay, anyone can hack any system, anyone can sit and work on any system. Okay, so that is should be there always, zero trust. Got it? Now there is one more thing is identity threat detection and response. We call it as a ITDR. This is not the part of IAM, not the part of IAM basically that I am talking about, that the your terminologies area. So terminology area, that is the fine enough things. Okay, just give me one sec. Someone is coming. Okay, so ITDR is one of the terminology we can use or we can find in our IAM sector also, identity and access management area, where organizations are built in IAM area. Okay, what exactly this is the part of? This is the part of SOC, security side. Okay, ITDR. Whether we find any kind of threat is coming to our organization, we can detect it and make a response on that area. Either we can stop them, either we can give response them, or either we can mitigate them. Okay, that is comes under the ITDR. Okay, if any kind of threat in terms of identity threat is coming to any kind of organization, then we can do real time scenario activity on that area. Okay, in if you see in SOC parameter, or you can say in a cyber security area, we are having two kinds of team. Okay, there is one team, we call it as a blue team, or we call it is the second team, we call that the red team, and there is one more team, we call it the gray team. Okay, so what's the working of that teams? So always blue team work as a detection. So these are the detection team who is detecting where exactly there is a loophole in our system. Okay, they are detecting the source where it is coming from. Okay, and there is a red team who always like response in the terms of like mitigating the threat, or either responding the threat, or either solving the threat. Okay, so that is to be done by that team. And there is one more team, we call it the gray team, who can do both of the activities. Okay, either if they are going to detect it and respond them. Similarly, in our organization, if we are having the organization, so these kind of activity we can came across. Okay, so the cybersecurity mechanism that identify and mitigates the identity related threats comes under the ITDR. Like a security system detects multiple failed login attempts and block the account. Okay, so ITDR team will do this activity. Either we can implement these things, like after 5 login, we can create some policy. After 5 login, your account is going to be blocked or account is locked. Okay, so that is comes under that ITDR area. Or either a person who is uh, who get to know your password, he is trying to access your account and he is entering multiple times, he is accessing one kind of application, but eventually that is not the behavior of yours working. So on that time, a suspicious kind of report has been generated, which is to be generated by the response team. Okay, so that will defend, or that will define that thing, a suspicious activity is going on, so you can take an action on that area. So this is very much helpful in proactive defense area. If your organization having these kind of activities or implemented these kind of activities, is good for all of that the infrastructure. Okay, there are some of the IAM best practices. We are supposed to do some regular audits. We are supposed to do some strong password policies. We are having some principle of least privilege accounts will be there. Multi-factor authentication should be there. Okay, so this is one of the things on the conclusion side of the future of the IAM. It is very much it is to be there. It is basically for involving in the AI driven solution should be there. Increase focus on users experience, tighter the integration with emerging technologies like blockchaining and the quantum computing area. So that is how this IAM is going moving forward. Okay, IAM is not bound with all those whatever the things it is to be done. Now they are jumping on some other areas like quantum theory, quantum computing, and the AI part. So that is becoming a good future for the IAM side also. Okay, so these are all the terminologies which I'm talking to you right now. So that are all the things which is you should know on that the IAM side. Okay, on that terminology, on that definition, the IAM is built. Okay, any questions so far? Everything? Okay, there are certain kind of things which I supposed to be required. Okay, because our IAM kind of activity and understandability is quite good enough now. Okay, I hope so. So the next thing which I going to require on the Okta side right now. Okay, only on the Okta side. Okay, because now we are jumping on the one of the IAM tool, Okta. Okay, so firstly, we need to create our account. Okay, so there is a free trial account which is Okta is providing. Okay, for 30 days. So you can do the practice on the Okta tenant for 30 days. So you can create your account with free trial account. Okay. Then I required some of the capabilities like VM, virtual machine. Either you can download from Oracle website or a VM where you are having. So that is also good. Okay. So these two things. And the third thing which I required it is your uh, ISO file, Windows Server ISO file, .iso file. Okay, if you are having these things, that is fine. Either I will give it to you. Okay, but for the free trial, we require to register with our work email ID. That is the mandatory part required over here. Okay, this is a one time. This is going to be required for creating this account, for registering this account in Okta website. Okay, so these are some of the prerequisites for learning the Okta or creating a lab. These are all the lab setups, okay, in your machine. So once this lab setup is to be done, then we are good enough to understand Okta practically. Only you, okay, only both of you, okay, practical side. I can demonstrate from my area, but again, how you can do some practical from your end, how you can do some assignment in your side, okay, or practice yourself. So on that side, I need to create a lab in your machine, okay, for this thing. So first link, if it is we are having, I can give you access, or I can give you this software. You can deploy this thing in your machine. But again, this thing is required majorly. Either we don't have this thing, that is fine, but we require this thing, free trial account. Okay.